Hi, we want to welcome you here to QOL. We are a Grace Teaching New Covenant ministry. Today we want to talk to you about power perfected in weakness. You know, the victorious Christian life, the Apostle Paul writes, the secret. It's actually a mystery. See, the Apostle Paul wrote to the church in Corinth, chapter 11, verse 30. And he writes this, he says, "If I must boast, I will boast about the things that show my weaknesses." You know, I'm going to just kind of back up a little bit. You know, in my own personal life, as well as you might be able to relate to this. You know, growing up before Christ, I thought it was a curse to be weak. Let me explain that a little bit. When I would look around and I would see people, I noticed that they had really no problem with life. Now, keep in mind, I was spiritually dead before Christ. We all were. But now in Christ, we're made alive. We're made new creatures, new people. But I always struggled in life and just to do regular life things. And so I thought that was a curse. But it turns out that actually turns out to be a blessing to God. You know, I believe that the Apostle Paul, with his experiences with the Lord, he would say, you know, we don't have to get stronger to be used by God. We have to get weaker. I like what the Apostle Paul said when he said, "I am self-sufficient in Christ's sufficiency." And so the Apostle Paul has given us a secret to the victorious Christian life. It's where we boast about our weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through our weaknesses. I like what the Lord gave to the Apostle Paul when he writes again to the Corinthian church at 2 Corinthians 12, 9, and 10, where the Lord speaks and says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power works best through weaknesses." And so there Paul gets encouraged because now he has come to a place where he is very weak, and this is where the Lord shows up with his grace, and he says, "Paul, I can work through your weakness." And so that's encouraging for the weak today. And today I will boast about my weaknesses. You know, the Christian life is not hard to live, but it's impossible to live. It's only by trusting in Christ, as the Apostle Paul said. And when he says, not that we are adequate in ourselves to consider anything as if it were coming from ourselves, but our adequacy is from God, who made us adequate to be ministers of this new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. And so be encouraged. If you've ever struggled in weaknesses, or if you're experiencing weaknesses now as a Christian, there are 3 easy steps to remember. I can't. He can. I think I'll let him. So if I'm going to boast as the Apostle Paul boasted, he boasted about his weaknesses. Also, if we're going to boast, let's boast in the Lord, in his grace and his strength. Thank you. And remember, you're the most important person here, because without you we could not teach. Also, we learn so we can teach, and we teach so we can learn. So thank you, and God bless.